What's up, VC? James back here again, and gonna do a response video, or I guess the contest video to Kieran from the Vinyl Grooves 300 subscriber contest for your 10 albums that you would take with you if you were stranded on a desert island. I really like this idea, and so yeah, let's dive right into it. And I guess not all these albums are on vinyl. I'd like all of them to be on vinyl. And I wouldn't necessarily call these my favorite albums of all time because, as he said, there's a lot more than just 10. But if I had to narrow it down from what I have in my collection, because there's a lot of stuff that I don't have in my collection that I would probably consider to be better than some of this, this is what I would pick. So the first one is a cassette, and it is Nirvana's Unplugged in New York. And you know what I love about this album so much more than, like, you know, In Utero and Nevermind, is just the fact that you're hearing Nirvana, you know, acoustically. You know, most of the time, you know, they're heavy and just, you know, rocking, and this is just beautiful. You know, you get to hear Kurt Cobain's voice, and it just shows how, you know, amazing his lyrics were, and just how amazing his songwriting was, which is the same thing, but his voice. You know, whenever I listen to this album, it makes me really think, and you know, it's kind of sometimes, you know, you get in a melancholy mood by just listening to it. You know, songs like Dumb, and God, Something in the Way, All Apologies. There's some amazing songs out there, sad songs. Okay, next album. And I know Kieran might, I don't know how big, I guess I've watched a lot of his videos, but I know he's more into jazz and funk and soul and stuff. And there's a few funk and soul stuff here, but mostly it's rock, so hope you're cool with that. Next one is the Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. This is a CD. And this is one of the first albums I'd ever listened to, and it's a beautiful album. You know, it's just got some amazing moments in it, and it just whenever I listen to this, it brings me back to, you know, when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and it's just, you know, I don't listen to it a lot anymore, but whenever I'm in that mood, I definitely put this on, and so another great album there. Next, I had to put this on here because it's from Saddle Creek Records, and it's from Bright Eyes, who's from Omaha, Conor Oberst, if you've heard of him. And this album is just a beautiful, just folk album, and you know, the lyrics on this are amazing. And whenever I listen to this, you know, I just think of, you know, home. I think of Nebraska, and you know, especially if I'm in a different state or something, you know, throwing this on, you know, definitely just, you know, makes me think of home if I'm, you know, homesick or whatever. So, you know, Bright Eyes, I mean, this album, it's incredible if you're into, like, folk type stuff. So, yeah, this is I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning. Next, another song that just, for some reason, makes me think of home, even though it's from Chicago. It's Wilco, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. This album is amazing, and it's really what turned me on to, you know, Wilco, and the songs on this are amazing. You know, Jesus Etc. obviously was the song that broke them out and made them really a mainstream act. And then there was Pot Kettle Black, which is my favorite song, maybe of all time, from this band. So yeah, definitely check this out. This next album I've shown in earlier ones. This is Headhunters by Herbie Hancock. And for me, if I was stranded on an island, I would need this. You know, this is just essential, as I've said, jazz, funk, you know, instrumental from Herbie Hancock and the gang. And this is probably easily one of my favorite albums of all time, if not one of my favorite jazz albums of all time. I mean, this album definitely, you know, is one of the albums that turned me on to jazz. You know, when I first heard that opening, you know, keyboard, you know, bum 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 bum. I mean, sorry, but that really just got me going. And then the, you know, the solo in there by the, I can't think of what, saxophone. I mean, I can't think when I'm in these videos, but I mean, this is a great listen, a great album. As we keep on going, a little something different. I've shown this too, Daft Punk's Discovery. You know, this is more electronic, but it always, whenever I put it on, I just get into this great mood. And I feel like if you're stranded on a desert island, you need to get in that good mood once in a while, because it's gonna get a little boring. And as soon as you put this album on, it will instantly just, you know, put you in that mood. And every song in here is just amazing, and it's a magical album, magical listen. Next, we have the Beatles, Abbey Road. I do not know how you could not be stranded on desert island and not listen to the Beatles, especially Abbey Road, which is my favorite album of all time. You know, as I've said before, there really is not a bad, there isn't a bad song on this album. And Abbey Road is just one of those albums that is essential to me, and honestly is essential to the entire music world. So, there you go with that. Beatles, Abbey Road. 3 albums left. This next one, probably also, it has to be tied with Abbey Road. Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. This album, of course, you know, for me, kind of just modernized music a little bit into what we know today in a lot of ways. You know, a lot of different instrumentations on here and a lot of different experiments, which is what I love about this album, and I think a lot of people love about this album. You know, just the time when prog rock was really coming around, and then, you know, when Pink Floyd really got into some big jams with The Wall and Animals. I mean, this is just kind of a starter, and it's one of the greatest albums in my mind of all time. And if I didn't have this, because I listen to it at least 3 or 4 times a week, if I didn't have this, I don't know how I'd survive. So, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Next, we have Tame Impala's Lonerism. Tame Impala is probably one of my favorite bands of the modern era, and you know, the fact that they kind of are bringing psychedelic rock back, you know, kind of bringing the Beatles days back, but with a modernized twist, is something I love. And I used to listen to this album non-stop, you know, like 24/7, because this album is one of the best sounding albums I've ever heard, you know. Mainly because, I mean, when you think about that, it was just Kevin Parker on this, that he recorded every instrument, all the vocals, and, I mean, it just really blows your mind to think, like, how could one person make this sound? As there you can see his studio type thing. This is an amazing album, and I could not go without it. Next one is an album I actually haven't showed. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. This is Todd Rundgren's Something Anything. This album is unbelievable. I really couldn't believe it when I first listened to it. And in fact, I'm going to do a needle drop real quick just to show you how amazing it is, or I don't know if this even fits your taste really, but I'm going to give it a spin and I guess see what you think of it. I'm sure you've probably actually heard of Todd Rundgren before, but yeah. And for the people, I don't even think I showed my new turntable in the last video, but there it is. And like I said, I'm super excited about it. Completely is changing music listening for me. There it goes. so just, I care about sound a lot, and I care about people who, care about sound, because this is a great sounding album, and obviously he tries really hard, and that's why I love this album. So, Kieran, congratulations on 300 subscribers. I hope I can get that far one day. You've been one of the people that I have looked up to on this vinyl community. You, Derek Vaughn, and Baraka P-Dub are probably my favorites, along with maybe Sequoia Flame. And, as I've said before, the vinyl community is just an amazing place. And I want to thank everyone who makes videos, because, this is just an amazing passion, and it's awesome that people, care about music like this. Because I know a lot of people, now really don't care about sound. They really don't think about sound. They don't think about the instrumentation, the vocals, the lyrics. With all the pop crap that's out nowadays, a lot of the really crappy rap, people really don't understand the hip-hop that kind of started it all, that actually had meaningful lyrics, that meant something. And it's just kind of sad, but, whenever I'm watching the vinyl community, it just really, it makes me happy to see that there's other people out there that, love music just as much as I do, if not a lot more. So, thank you for that. Congratulations, Kieran, and peace.